Okay, I'm going to talk about this term called end stage capitalism. And a lot of people talk about this, and it might not be entirely clear what they're talking about. The economy's going shit, right? And the wealth inequality is increasing, and with that, the social strife increases. The violence and the crime. The violence and the crime is a response to the wealth inequality. When people can't make a living, they have to break the law to make a living. So what is end stage capitalism? Well, first, I'm going to explain what happens when capitalism is functioning, or right before it breaks into end stage capitalism. So, let's say we print a stimulus bill, and the stimulus bill is basically it's a means tested stimulus bill, and the stimulus bill is trying to give money to people who need it, right? And in effect, the purpose of that stimulus bill is to ease that social strife. It's to ease the burden that poor people find themselves in. So we print money for the stimulus bill in this example, okay, rather than redistribute existing wealth, right? We're printing money, and the end result of printing that money is that for a little short time period, people have more buying power. The middle and lower class have more buying power. But eventually, the inflation comes along, right? Eventually, the owners, they catch on to this. Okay, when you print more money without value creation, it's going to lower the value of the currency. So if the owners keep the prices the same, they're going to lose money. Okay, in capitalism, in capitalistic markets, you don't want this. Okay, and in all reality, it won't happen because the owners are going to raise the prices to make up for their losses that came from the printing of new valueless money. So this is what happens when capitalism is floundering, okay? It's what happens when we're trying to put band-aids on the wealth inequality. Those band-aids come in the form of stimulus bills that print new money without value creation. But they're just band-aids because, again, the prices adjust, okay? The owners just increase the prices and, via inflation, right? So what is end stage capitalism? Well, end stage capitalism is when the owners over-adjust the inflated prices, right? When the prices overinflate. And the result of that is the owners end up with more money than they had before the stimulus bill, and the middle and lower class end up worse off, okay? It actually punishes the middle and lower class. So this is what's happening. This is what happened with the COVID stimulus bills. This is why inflation went up so high. And even if inflation is coming down now, the fact is it's still going up, and the wages are not going up as fast. So the wealth inequality is still increasing. So once again, we find ourselves back at this just kind of gliding along, and the same problems are continuing. So again, end stage capitalism is when the owners catch on to the effects of these stimulus bills, and in order to make up for their losses, they raise the prices. But what's end stage capitalism is when they make up for their losses and more by overinflating again. So how do we get out of this? How do we fix this problem? Well, notice I was very specific when I said where the money from these stimulus bills were coming from. They're coming from new money, new printed money that does not have value attached to it, right? We're not creating value when we print this new money. The solution is to redistribute existing wealth, okay? And how does this happen? Not through government policy, okay? It's not how this happens. Because what's going to happen if you do that is you're going to end up giving more power to the people that already have it. Again, because for end stage capitalism to occur, you have the government effectively working with the owners. And we know this is true, right? We know that our politicians are being paid off by the owners of these corporations with Citizens United and things like that, right? They're paying for their campaigns. So what we need to do instead is we need to raise class consciousness. Now, what does that mean? Well, you create, again, labor unions and labor strikes. And what happens is you demand that these owners give you the true value of your labor. Rather than the owners owning that value, you take it, you demand it. And how do you demand it? Well, if a bunch of car salesmen go out and they demand higher wages. In all likelihood, it's not going to work out very well. They're going to get fired. They're just going to hire more people. There's enough salesmen to go around. What actually needs to happen is the laborers who create the necessities, who produce the necessities in this country, they are the ones who need to start the labor strikes and the unions. Why? Well, I mean, necessities are everything, okay? If the necessities stop coming in, what happens? We get hungry, and we get violent, and revolutions start. The upper class will not risk this, okay? So if you produce the food in this country, if you produce the energy in this country, and you are in the middle and lower class, you are the ones who need to start this strike. If it starts with you, they will immediately concede, because they must. Otherwise, the entire economy that this ruling class depends on collapses overnight. So those are where the labor unions and the strikes are needed. And if these necessity producers, if they also work together with every other producer in the country of, just consumer goods, regular consumer goods, if they combine forces, then what you build is a national strike that starts with the production of necessities. And what will happen is every owner in the country, all the corporations, will be forced to concede. They will be forced to return the true value of the labor to the middle and lower class. That is how you redistribute wealth. You do not redistribute wealth through government policy, because again, end-stage capitalism is basically, in order for that end-stage capitalism to happen, you have to have politicians and the government working in conjunction with the owners of the corporations, because these corporations have to know that these prices are that this inflation bill is coming out, and they have, the politicians who vote on the bills, they tell their constituents that the bill's going to pass, and they raise the prices in response. And the end result is that the people who got these stimulus bills, they go out and spend them, and the price is already inflated. So, overinflated. So, we need to start labor strikes, and the heart of those labor strikes needs to start in the markets that produce necessities. This may seem scary. It may seem like you're effectively starting a revolution. That's not what it is. It's an economic revolution, sure. That's what we need, okay? We are giving the government the ability to basically pretend they are helping us with these stimulus bills, that they're printing we can't print new money for stimulus bills. It doesn't work. The end result is inflation. And once we reach this end-stage capitalism point, it's overinflation, and it just worsens the economy. It literally punishes the middle and lower class that it's supposed to be helping. So, again, organize, raise class consciousness, talk to your employees, talk to your fellow employees, and organize labor unions and labor strikes. It's really simple. We just have been so divided by the ruling class, because the ruling class controls the media. And where do we get our information? We get it from the media. So instead of organizing along this class divide, we get divided along racial lines, fake political lines, social lines, religious divides, anything but the class divide. Okay, the mainstream media doesn't tell you about the class divide, and if they do, they're likely not gonna talk about it nearly as much, right? So give that a little thought. All right, we have reached this end stage point of capitalism, and we don't want to get rid of capitalism. Capitalism is good. Capitalism creates competition within markets, and that competition drives new technology. We can have that competition within markets while also giving everyone a living wage. There's nothing stopping capitalism and high class consciousness to exist in the same economy. It's the class consciousness that distributes the profits that capitalism creates. Capitalism does not determine the distribution of the profits it creates. That all comes down to class consciousness. If we are divided, if the middle and lower class are divided, they're not class conscious, right? They have no class consciousness, and the owners take the profits, and they basically team up. All the owners of all these corporations team up against the middle and lower class. And that's why You know, that's why if you do happen to find a company that pays you a good wage, it's usually a private company, and they're usually far and few between. So give that a little thought. Thanks for watching.